All right, so here we have round number 2. If you haven't watched round 1, definitely check it out on the channel. This is round 2. I went 8 rounds undefeated, then lost in the finals of the Treasure Cup on the 11th of this month, hosted by Top Cut. I opt to go second in here. They might have won the dice roll and just chose to go first. Of course, playing Zoro, which did manage to find its way into the top 8. But yeah, this is my round 2. They go ahead and go Ezo. It's exactly what you would expect. Hitting that Marco too, which is actually really good. It's a sticky body and lets you use like no counter cards to combo out of potentially 2-card attacks. So really good. But essentially the new Zoro plays Ezo and Buggy, just doesn't play the Dodon, so really just a slightly changed version. But I believe they really just went all in on that flamenco. I'm really just trying to think of what I want to do here. It might even be just pass. Didn't really have anything, which is fine. You know, I can't always have Ezo, but they're going 3. They get attach 1, go 5, 6. Love that Zoro Don, by the way. I really need one. I've got a Luffy, Brook, and a Sanji, but Zoro, of course, being one of my favorite characters. Yeah, boom. Gotta slap that Zoro on Zoro, right? And then, yeah, it looks like... And then, of course, I think I had a Red Hawk here. I definitely had a Red Hawk here. That's probably why I passed, because I was like, I'll just Red Hawk this Ezo. And then he swings with the Ezo first, of course. Giga Brain move on his part. And then 6 Elite. I think I just take this, too. No point in not. Just go ahead and get that card. Yep. We'll just go down to 3. No big deal. No big deal. And I think I just leave the Ezo too, just because the Ezo for a swing requires 2 Dawn commitment, essentially 3 because of leader. So going into his next turn on the 5 Dawn turn, he'll only have 2 Dawn to work with. So I think we just leave that Ezo there. And I might have maybe I even have the 5 drop Marco. Yeah, we're going to go 5 at lead. Usually Zoro will take it, but we'll see. We know that they have a Marco in their hand. They take it. They've got 7 in their hand, 8. They have 8, and I play an Atmos, and then it's their go. And then I also have 8. Of course, you can see like the dice. It's great to keep track of what you and your opponent have. Just gives you a good idea, and also, can prevent any shenanigans. 5. So yeah, here I could obviously take it or like counter out, and it's pretty free because I know that they're not going to do any other attacks. But I could also just go down to 2. It's not like super relevant because I can just go a bunch at their face or just even go wider. So it seems like they want to establish the board this turn. Really, of course, like I said, because Zoro they can't swing a bunch of 7s as easily as they could before. So it puts me at 9, so I'm living my best life. See, this is also, again, like I've been talking about ST10 during these. The new structure decks, they have, playing King Do. Pretty cool. But I, of course, have Ace, so I can clean up that King Do pretty easily. But it makes sense. I mean, he's a 5/8. You could have just also played 4 6s and then got just a little bit more Don value, in my opinion. Because I debated on replacing Marco with King Do. Like, obviously, it just makes sense, but it really doesn't. Just because, like, as a 5, he is easily removed. But he can also, like, you get hit with that blue. And so I swung 5, and they guard with the 2K, so I'm definitely going to go this 6. Looks like he probably just gave me his only 2K, or just, didn't want to go down those cards. So he's got 7 in hand. I've got 6 Dom, probably slamming down a Thatch, and then I can establish a Thatch the next turn when he swings with the King Do, go Ace, which can be devastating because then I can swing up on it, like 6 at 4. Whereas, like, if it was a 4 for 6, he could leave up, like, 1 event and then also, get that swing. But, yeah, I mean, the 4 is just as easy to remove as the 5, in essence, except for, like, verse red. But, like, presumably all your matchups aren't going to be red. So, my thoughts, but, yeah, we slap down that Thatch, which just, that 1K just makes the big difference between him and King Do. So, we're living on that curve, that going second curve. Really just generating these bodies, then continuing to, for the rest of the game, to play non-counter cards like Ace and Luffy out of our hands. play buggy. I believe they might have whiffed. Nope. Definitely not a whiff. But it's good to remember the cards your opponent has. So they have one Marco, and it's good to keep that in mind because that Marco can surprise you. And again, it's going to block one free attack every single turn. So for one card, it's going to count out of one attack for one card every single turn. And of course, it's also possible that, you know, the Izo comes after me. They add a Fire Fist, which doesn't give them a ton of value by itself against me, which is great. One of the best parts about playing these large bodies, like they would need a Gordon Otama plus that, so it'd be 4 cards in total to clear my board. Play another buggy, sure. Grab a guard point. So they got guard point, Fire Fist, and a Marco. That also tells me that they technically have 2 cards with no counter at no dawn. So like knowing their hand size, you can know how much has counter potentially. Or if they search a no counter card, which is very big for when you're going for lethal or attempting to close out the game. So 8 to my face. I'm probably just take this. There's no point in me countering out of that. Because there's going to be a 6 that I can probably counter out of. But if it goes 7, fine. They could go 6-5-5, but it might be a guard point. That might be a guard point. And then like I can go up to 6 and it stops like an Izo swing. And then it allows me the 1k out, but it's like, is that one counter more valuable? Because I know it's not a Flame Emperor, so it has to be like that or a Red Hawk. But I believe I still have a Red Hawk just hanging out. 6 at face. I definitely counter out of this. And they could possibly go 7 with Izo or even play that blocker. Playing the blocker now would be kind of counterproductive, but yeah. Oh, it's Zoro and swing 6. Did not expect that, but great play. That Rush Zoro really hurts. So I had 9 cards. I think it puts me down to 7, giving up an Otama. Now this is where, yeah, because now he's got even more bodies on board. Each one of those requires Dawn commitment to just go 5. So essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 Dawn commitment on his side. I'm definitely going to play 1, probably play an Izo. Yeah. Grab an ace. I think I didn't have the ace to start, so I was really trying to search for that ace. Now I'm going to go ahead and pay 7, play that ace. I'm like really seeing, do I have enough counter to live if he tries to go all in and end me? And the answer should be yes, just because I play a ton of counter. And now we have a big board. We're going to go 5 at the Zoro, the character. Yeah, and we're going to eat him. Now we're going to put that 6 at the King Deuce because it costs 2 cards to counter. They do have the guard point, so they could guard point. He did just let it go. He could have tried to protect him more since that body is super valuable, but in the end he would have lost it, but could have kept some more attacks off of his life. But it is me swinging downwards, so he has to counter up since it's below 5. Yeah, we get the guard point, so now we know like that's gone. Now we're going to crack him for here, and they probably wants to play the Marco next turn, so we know that 4 Dawn is going to be spoken for. And then again, like each one of those buggies cost 1 plus the leader, and then Izo costs 2 to swing. So, and we have a huge board, so we can either go after my board or there's going to be a ton of attacks coming at him the next turn. I think I have 7 in hand. Might have 8. He's going to 8. All right. See, this is also like he's fanning out his Dawn. So I was like, well, what does he want to do? Is that like 2 for events? Is it I also love the Straw Hat Dawn. Like, I have a couple of them, and I've pulled a number of them, but I just, in the end, I usually just get rid of them. Just because the value associated with them. So, yeah, attaching 2, going 7. Obviously, I can't go to 0 because I can just swing all in. So I will have to counter out. If I thought I could win on the next turn, there might be value, but he still does have a decent size stand. So yeah, we go 2K and 1K. Giving up the Fossa just because I don't think I'll need a Fossa. Whereas, like, those are better in the green matchups. P2, play a Flamenco, which is pretty good. And then there's that 4 to play a blocker Marco. It seems like he might try to clear my board next turn, so I really want to go, like, aggro and also protect myself. So in instances like this, a blocker could... He's got 6 in hand, but got a blocker. And so a blocker on my side can also just prevent him from doing just like 2 giant tall swings, just because I could stop one, and makes them have to be more honest with their swings. So draw for turn. Like, we're good. Yeah, I was just confirming that was my turn. And then, yeah, getting started. It's like, boom, I can swing 7 for free. He does have 1 Dawn active, so I could lead with the 8 just to see if it's a guard point. And then if it, like, you know, if we can just eat the blocker and then just go heavily into life. Because, again, all of his bodies, like, even though they take, like, 1 Dawn, that's 4 Dawn to get 4 swings at 5, 5, 5, and 6. And so that leaves them with 6 Dawn to work with on those swings. And so he could do like 3 7s and a 5. Or a 6. 3 7s and a 6. And then another 6. Yep, we go 6 just to fish. 5. I think I played 9 beard here. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense, because then I establish a 9 body. Or I establish a 10k body, and plus he would have to swing up to me, which will make it impossible. Because then only his leader can swing up reasonably, and his blocker. Each one has to climb a gigantic ladder to do so otherwise. And then I have huge pressure on the next turn, and I'm just going to dwindle away this hand. So he's down to 4. And then we go 7. So he either has to take it, block it, and go down to 3. And you just shouldn't be able to survive the clap back. And I believe I have like a guard pointer. I have some form of event in my hand. Yep, they take it, and then boom, probably just stops that 8. So he's at 5 in hand. Put him at 4 with this, and if he blocks... I think he discards a teach. Oh, and an Ezo. Pretty strong, pretty strong. I've used Ezo to counter before. Like, if I have like all the cards I need and I can't think of anything realistically that I would need to search, I would go with the Ezo. Alright, yeah, and then it's like, yeah, I just played the 9 beard. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. Trying to make sure this is really what I want to do. Oh, maybe it's not. Do I have the blocker? Oh, I have an unblockable Luffy. Interesting. 6. I really thought I played 9 beard here. It was stacking up to be like that. 1 guard point on a 6. You love to see that. Back to, was he 3 or 4? And then I might even just have a blocker here. Or maybe I just have that many events. I could have red. Yeah, I have Red Hawk. Yep, I remember. I have Red Hawk, and a guard point, I think. And then it's like, okay, like, when do I play each one to, like, destroy? Like, because he doesn't commit the Dawn early. And I really just don't want to waste a 4K defense on one, because we do have to be reasonable with the resource. And so we want to get more than just like a 1 Don commitment on like a buggy or what have you. We want the big Don commitments, so that way we can stay in the game. So this is very crucial on my end to make sure I don't lose. And again, why I really enjoy these events, because without these events, I might have just lost. Yeah, so he goes 5. We've got 2 Don commitment, 3 Don commitment. He's got 7 to work with, keeping that in mind. Keeping in mind also he can do a swing with the Marco at the end for 6 if he thinks I don't have it. And of course I have to counter out of this. Got a decent sized hand, six cards maybe. He's I think I Red Hawk here and hit the Flamenco. No. Okay, because Flamenco could potentially clean up my board. But no matter what happens, I mean, he's got 4 cards in hand. He has to go for game here. Gonna go 1. Yeah, minus is the Luffy, which makes sense, but he's going 5K at my face. And again, it's like, well, what does he swing with, you know? What do, you know, I can take 1 hit. He's still got potentially 4 coming at my face. What do I give him as a 1K? Again, just taking our time here, just because, again, it's very important. Like, you know, like the game, you're not going to go into time. Just like, you know, it's better to be slow and not rush your decisions to make sure you make the right one. Of course, like, you know, like there's within reason, obviously, but like we're 17 minutes in the game, still plenty of time. You've got the clock up. It's like, okay, like, you know, we have time to think this through to make sure that we're doing exactly what we want to get the most value. And it's, again, like, do I just Red Hawk, pop a buggy? But then, like, you know, he splits his Dawn up. He goes a little taller. I've got to stop 2 of the upcoming 3 attacks. And it's like, well, what if he decides to go 7 with buggy? Yeah, I just go ahead. I give a 2K, which kind of gives away my hand just a little bit. And he's going to look. He's setting that up in case the last life is Fire Fist. Drop the Dawn, you know, just doing the correct thing, being like, hey. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm gonna grab it. Make sure, you know, no funny business, whatever. Like, you know, very, very kind about that. And then, of course, going 6 at life now. And it's like, okay, 3 Don left. There's 7K and a 6K on board. The most he can do is like 7 and then 8 at this point. Or is 7-9. 7-9. And so we're going to go ahead, Red Hawk. And then we're going to pop that boogie. And then it's like, okay. 7. That's 8. That's 8. I go ahead, go 1. Radical Beam. I had a Radical Beam, which was perfect. And you go 9. No Dawn active. I just take it. It could be a potential event. No trigger. And then scoops it up. Because, yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. Like, I go 7, eats 2 cards, 7, eats another 2. Yeah, he had the 9 drop, but it just wasn't going to get him to where he needed to be. A lot of attacks coming at him. And then, of course, still that Fire Fist that we saw. Looks like a Gordon. So only had 1K encounter. So if I went 7, like swing free with 7, do another 7 to fish. And they take it. It was over. It was over. But great game, GG. Of course, great to see Zoro still trying to make it out there with the list, and of course seeing Zoro having made it to the top 8. But as always, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. If you found this content of value, and I'll see you in the next round.